Hello class, welcome to a room 222 Photoshop tutorial. Today's project is the newspaper portrait. This is what our newspaper portrait is going to look like. So again, we go to our Photoshop tools and resources, examples, newspaper portrait. So we're going to have a picture of ourselves and we are going to layer it with different styles of newspapers, as you can see. So we're going to minimize this. We're going to open a new project. I'm going to open an image of myself, and you should do the same. Here's our image. There should be relatively nothing in the background. It should be fairly pale. And I'm going to crop mine down some. And then I'm going to create a new layer. On this layer, I am going to make a selection around myself and then make the background a little less green. If you want to make a separate selection than the one you just did, you can hold down the Shift key and add to it. Once you hold it down, then you can let go and you can move the selection to how big or small you want it to be. Again, using your expand and contract selection tools. I am then going to apply the paint bucket, and I'm going to make this like an off-white, like a grayish white color. I don't want too stark of a white. You can if you want, but I'm going to make it more of like a light gray. Say OK. Then I'm going to apply it. I'm going to click around here, and I'm going to use my brush tool, fill in the gaps that the paint bucket didn't reach. This again is not necessary, but it makes everything look a little bit more cleaner, and I think that you will like the result better. Alright, Control D to deselect, and now I'm going to desaturate it. So Control Shift U desaturates my image. Next we're going to go to Filter and Filter Gallery, and you're going to click on Artistic, and we're going to select Cutout. So for this, you can select a majority of things. So you can change the levels, so there's less colors, less of a grayscale. You can change the simplicity, so we can make it look like not a person or more of a person. And then edge fidelity changes like the smoothness or jaggedness of your edges. I'm going to go with level 7, simplicity 4, fidelity 2. You do not need to do this. It all depends on what your image already looks like. But this is what I'm going to go with for mine. I'm going to click OK. Next, I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to select the newspaper project. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's under Stock Photos, Newspapers. This one, it has all of these images in one project already set up for you. So I'm going to click Open, and I'm going to have this off to the side. As you can see, we have all of these images in here, and you can check them out by making them visible and invisible. So that's there. Alright, so how do we apply these? So what we're going to do is we're going to create groups, which are essentially folders. So we're going to go Layer, New, Group. Say OK. We are going to make essentially however many levels there are for groups, sort of along those lines. I'm going to make 5 groups by doing Control J. And then if I need to add more, I will add more. If I need to take any away, I'll delete them. So you should do the same, and then you're going to rename them groups 1 through 5. Okay, so now each of these groups are going to be a layer on your image. We're going to start off with selecting the magic wand tool. Your point sample should be the sample size. Tolerance should be 30. Anti-alias should be checked, and sample all layers should be checked. And we are going to start with group 1 as our lightest layer. Make sure it's selected, and we're going to click on the white, and it'll highlight everything. We're then going to click what is called the mask feature, and we're going to add a layer mask, which is this button down here. Creates a layer. Next, we're just going to keep doing this, so we're going to go from lightest to darkest. Okay, so I made a lightest to darkest layer masking group. I'm going to go over to my newspapers, and I'm going to pull it forward. And I'm going to find something that I want to place on my background. I would suggest one of the larger ones. The Liverpool Herald is a nice one. So you click on this, click on the layer, and then you're going to click and drag, and you're going to drop it onto your portrait. Minimize. I want to place it in group 1, which is my background. And I'm going to do Control T. And I am going to put this as my background. And I'm going to use Shift and make it a little bit larger. And I'm going to click Enter. Next, I'm going to apply what is called changing the levels. So I'm going to do Control L. And I'm going to use these things, and I'm going to kind of fade it out. Just like that. So it's not too noticeable. I like this for right now. I'm going to make a copy. Control J. And then do Control T. And I'm going to lower it to the bottom. And apply it also down here. And actually, I'm going to spin it, because I want to, and apply it upside down. You don't have to do this. I just want to. Press Enter, and I have my background. So next, you're going to continue to do this through all of your grouping. And for each of them, you may have to, you should change the levels. If you have a dark one, so say for instance the hair, my hair is dark. I'm going to go to the newspaper, and I'm going to select one that I want to put for there. I'm going to go with foosball. Click on it. I'm going to bring it over, drop it, minimize. My hair is dark, so I want the newspaper to be dark. I'm going to do Control I, and it will invert it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to spin it maybe just a little. Press Enter, and then I'm going to change the levels again to maybe make it slightly darker yet. I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to make some copies. And do Control T and move it around here. I'm going to spin this. So as you go, you're going to continue to put them in the different groups. If you get to a point where it seems like it's better if the image was the original image and not the newspaper, that's fine. Because as you can see on mine, I left some of that out. But please put the newspapers in, and then you can always make it invisible to see what it looks best. When you are done, and so for instance also, if you want part of your image to look a little bit darker, you can always select it, and then, so you want to select it on layer 1, and then you can adjust the opacity, you can adjust the levels, and all of those things. And I can help you out with that if you just raise your hand and ask me. But try to change the levels in each of them, give that contrast, and not just put stuff in and then say you're done, because it doesn't look as nice. If you go back to this image, I adjusted the levels and the contrast with almost all of it to make it look fairly artistic. When you are done, you're going to go to File, Save As, and you are going to save the project under your folder, Finished Projects, Newspaper Portrait, as a JPEG. And then you click Save as your name. All right, off you go.